What's going on, y'all? I'm here to talk about some really cool buffs and changes for my boy Gallade. Before I get into all of these changes, I do want to have a quick disclaimer for anybody who's new here. First of all, shout out to you. I appreciate you clicking on the video. Second of all, I highly recommend if you're new here to pause the video and give the description a little read. It's got a lot of much needed context and background information for how this ROM hack is balanced and all that stuff. So definitely give that a read. Uh, and then after you're done with the video, you can check out the Gardevoir video and the Iron Valiant video, which should be out later today if you're watching this on the day of uploading. And of course, the Google Sheet link down below you can check out after you're done with this video as well. Don't click off yet because it'll mess up my watch time. If you want to support my work, the best way you can do it is to sub, share, comment, like, all that good stuff. So definitely drop one if you're watching. Um, also I always appreciate intelligent comments. Those are always nice. But anyway, Gallade. So pretty straightforward, but so the main thing here is that they are a branched evolution, right? So you pick between Gallade, Gardevoir, and Iron Valiant, and a lot of competitively brained players or people who don't know how I balance things are going to think, why would you ever fucking touch Gallade or Gardevoir over Iron Valiant? Iron Valiant is broken. Why would you know? Who cares? Who cares about Gallade? So all three of them have their own unique type combos, which provide unique defensive utility and offensive utility over the other. All three of them have three different sets of abilities, although Gardevoir and Gallade both share trace for now. And then Iron Valiant has its own thing going on as well. So Gallade so you can watch the Gardevoir video for more context, but I would say Gardevoir is the most scarf hoggy of the three. It's not bad. It's obviously very good. Serene Grace, stuff later on in the game is incredible, and then it's in general, it's very strong with that pixelate and stuff. So it's up to you which of the three you prefer, and of course that typing adds a lot of utility and stuff that the other two might not actually necessarily have. And then also, Gallade and Gardevoir are both much bulkier on the special side, while Iron Valiant is pretty damn frail on the special side. And then Iron Valiant has better Phys Def, so it's kind of, cool little trade-offs there. But the main thing is that Gallade gets Quick Feet now, which is a really cool ability for like his swordsman type vibe. If he gets Steadfast in vanilla, he's again all about being this like swift swordsman. If you read the decks, it talks about how he moves fast, first, fierce. All this other really cool stuff. He's attacking in bursts. He can sense what the foe is thinking. So I think Quick Feet is super, super dope on him in that regard. Obviously, it's not like he runs super fast, but more that he's just moving around, like dodging shit around. I don't know, like kind of nimble, like in that regard, which again is why he gets Steadfast in vanilla. So I think Quick Feet fits fine, and it's a really good ability in the sense that if you don't need that extra sharpness boost, which you won't always need, and you don't have any utility for that fight with Trace, which is situational but incredible in those situations where you can steal any ability. It is niche. It's very niche compared to just how good Quick Feet and Sharpness are, but I mean in general it's difficult to find a third ability that fits Gallade and is useful over the other two abilities and that doesn't overlap with Medicham and other psychic fighting types. So Trace is a good option because the implications for it are it's a very niche but high reward ability, right? Because you can steal all types of really fun or crazy abilities and cook up some really cool strats with it. So yes, it is niche, but it's good. Quick Feet is great because it's not a scarf hog, right? So in this game, there's item clause intended, so you only get one scarf per boss fight. So mons with Quick Feet are even more valuable because they, number one, can switch moves when they can switch moves with their speed boost, but also just the fact that you get the same speed boost without having to run Scarf. So that's awesome. So yeah, switch him in, you take a hit, you get that Quick Feet boost. You've got a good Spadef and, enough resistances as a Psychic Fighting. I believe you only resist... Psychic Fighting actually, if I remember, has very few resist. I think it's only Rock. Let's fact check that. I lied, Fighting too. I'm stupid. Yeah, alright. I'm bad at speaking out loud sometimes, but I definitely would have known that if I was like typing. But anyway, yeah, 2 resist, which isn't terrible. It's just, other ones have much more resistances, so that's something to consider. But again, that Quick Feet is really good. It's faster than Iron Valiant, and of course, Iron Valiant can run booster speed, but then you're sacrificing, your damage output. So not that that's a huge deal, but it is something to consider. While Gallade can go full attack with Quick Feet. Quick Feet in general is also great because you don't need many speed EVs with 100 base speed and +1. You're going to speed creep. It's an in-game ROM hack, right? So you're going to speed creep whatever the AI has. So 100 base speed at +1. Say the fastest Pokemon on the team is base 115 speed. All you need to do is put 36 EVs in and you're good. Obviously if it's 125, then you go higher. Whatever. 372 is 125, right? Do I know my shit? Off the top of my head, it's 370 something. 383. Oh, is it 120 that's 372? 120 is 372. I'm calling it right now. Let's go. I know my shit. Alright, that's what I got mixed up. Anyway, yeah, point is, you don't you can run more investment into your HP with quick feet, so you can switch in and activate your orb easier because you have more bulky Vs. Sharpness, yes, you're going to be using scarf sharpness a lot of the time, but a lot of the other times, especially if you got a plus speed nature, you got lucky, you can go crazy with sharpness. And and then of course if you're trying to OHKO something that's slower and bulkier, then you definitely want to take advantage of that sharpness boost. So he's got tons of cool new sharpness boosted moves. Oh, this should not be. Think Fast is not sharpness boosted. I could make it exclusively sharpness boosted for Gallade. Yeah, that doesn't have any overlap. I can ask. I'll ask you real quick. Think Fast. I mean, it's a punch move though. Like the animation is a literal punch, so I'm not a fan. Yeah, that's not supposed to be marked as sharpness boosted. That's my bad. That is just a regular psychic type quick attack, which is good, obviously. Just yeah. Cross Chop, Night Slash, Cross Poison, Psycho Cut. So people are wondering why doesn't he get Psycho Cut by level up? And that's a decent question if you don't know anything about this ROM hack. But as it says here, the TMs and level ups are combined, so you're intended to use both. So Pokemon might not have their full move pool if you just focus on the level up moves. That goes for all sorts of Pokemon. So yeah, you have all these sharpness boosted moves, including your Stab Psycho Cut, which you wouldn't get via level up. Just because, not because it doesn't make sense, but because the level ups are already crowded enough. So I should probably be saving room by having the TMs not overlap. So you're supposed to just know what you get access to by looking at the decks and knowing that. So yeah, Psycho Cut, all these moves, all of these Psycho Cut, Aqua Cutter, Leaf Blade, Laceration, Shadow Claw, X Scissor, Cross Poison, Night Slash, Cross Chop, all of those moves are 50% crit moves. So if you slap a Scope Lens on, you get a guaranteed crit. And the 50% crit doesn't matter for the player unless you're running Scope Lens. For the AI, you can treat that as if they're always critting. For example, if you're fighting like a Sharpness Gallade on the AI's team without a Scope Lens, you should be playing as if they have a Scope Lens, basically. But for the player, if you're wanting to be consistent and play safe, which is how the game is balanced around, it's ROM hack, or have all this prep available to you. Point is, so these moves are basically 0% crit rate. For all intents and purposes, unless you're holding a Scope Lens. But once you hold that Scope Lens with the Sharpness boost, they become 180 base power. And otherwise, they're just 120 base power. So you can run like Scarf Sharpness, 120 power, Psycho Cut, Aqua Cutter, Cross Chop, all these moves. Later in the game at level 55, which is towards the end of the game, not super late, you still have it legal for, maybe 10, 15-ish boss fights out of the 45 in the game. So it's not like that's nothing. It's not like that's nothing. It's a good amount of fights. You get Sacred Slash and Psy Blade, which are even better than Psycho Cut. And, well, in some niche cases, Psycho Cut and Cross Chop are actually better. Because you can run Scope Lens, right? But even then, you can argue Life Orb. Let me do the math. Is Life Orb Sharpness, Sacred Slash stronger than critting Psycho? I think actually it's not. 135 to 1.3 is not 180, right? 135 to 1.3. Yeah, slightly weaker still, 175. So, and of course, that's also, your other moves won't get boosted with the Scope Lens if you're running like 4 crit moves or whatever shit. I don't know. If you need to one-shot a really bulky mon, though, then that's nice to have that extra sharpness Scope Lens boost, especially the Scope Lens, because otherwise you can't really take advantage of Scope Lens unless you're outspeeding. It's not as good of an item, because of course you don't want to take the hit. But yeah, even defensively you can use. I mean, you got all types of utility as well. So one thing I didn't cover, I mean, you guys can read. I trust that you can understand, but all of the special moves that they get are not listed as TMs because there just isn't room to document it all. So that's definitely worth keeping in mind. But you do still have utility like Will-O-Wisp that is listed here, so that's really cool with like Teleport and Charm and all this other good stuff. Also Agility plus Sharpness plus Scope Lens is great if you can get a free turn. Although I wouldn't recommend risking a crit with like debuffing spam, because of course you can always just debuff spam and then switch in and set up, and that's super lame because you're risking crits, and I don't love that strategy. Like you're risking, I mean, I don't know, man. We'll have to see how setup stuff plays out. With Movie Learner, I think it's kind of busted even with all the anti-setup stuff. But regardless, things will still force you out, priority, quick claw, etc. So not the biggest deal, but that was something to keep in mind. In general, though, agility plus Scope Lens plus the 50% crit moves is great with Sharpness, or even with Trace. Again, Trace is like I said earlier, it's a situational ability, but you can definitely cook with it. You can also run other utility moves, like even like Trick Room if you want to set up Trick Room with your ally and then teleport out or some shit. Cool stuff like that. Brutal Blade is another really strong sharpness boosted move. So unlike Laceration, that cannot be clicked twice in a row. Brutal Blade can't be clicked twice in a row. But the upside is that it always crits as opposed to only as opposed to basically only with a Scope Lens. You don't need a Scope Lens for the Brutal Blade to crit. So that's great. You could argue Brutal Blade doesn't fit that well because they're not super, like, I guess it's kind of like the name could imply like evilness almost in some ways, or like aggressiveness, which Gallade isn't really necessarily. He's like honorable and shit, but he's got Justified and stuff. But I don't know, he gets Night Slash and shit by level up, so I think it's fine. Also, I don't know, it's not that deep. It's just a big slash move, and he is like Mr. Sword himself. So yeah, Psycho Break is psychic type close combat, and of course you've got good old-fashioned close combat. You can even do some Solar Blade stuff in the sun with sharpness. That's incredibly powerful if you want that extra oomph over Leaf Blade. If you had like a Droughtmon or some shit and you wanted to like, you may as well click it type shit. It's not necessarily worth manual sunny day, but other stuff is cool. Encore is also good utility. Hypnosis is obviously good with Move Relearner and Wide Lens. Wide Lens means Hypnosis won't miss, so that's pretty cool. Once in a while you might need that sleep. Yeah, I think I've covered pretty much everything I need to talk about. He's very straightforward. He's got lots of coverage with sharpness, also Smart Strike that will give you an accuracy boost, and is 112.5 base power with sharpness. So it is weaker than Laceration, but it gives you an accuracy boost, so you could leverage that accuracy boost to click a Hypnosis after or some niche shit. I don't know, like Quick Feet to outspeed something that is already weakened or weak to steel, Smart Strike, and then Hypnosis the next mon. I don't know. Hypothetical scenario, but that can totally be a cool application of that. Triple Axle as well. You get an accurate triple axle. Everything else is already accurate, but triple axle Hypnosis aren't, so that's pretty cool. With the Smart Strike boost. Creeping Strike, Aerial Ace are also sharpness boosted priority moves. It would be even cooler if you got Terra Flying or Terra Bug RNG. Terra Bug would be fucking fire because you got First Impression, Sharpness, X-Scissor, all that cool shit. So that'd be really dope. Flying would be okay, but I mean, all Terra types are good. That's the whole point of RNGing it. But yeah, all Terra types are good versus the AI, at least. That's obvious. But anybody who's listening 12 minutes in probably knows that by now, so I'll save my breath. Overall, I think I've covered everything I really need to talk about. Again, you got even other utility like Wish and shit, like your typical healing stuff. So all that stuff is fun. You can definitely experiment with that. He does have a good SPDF stat. You can run like, AV for certain boss fights to 1v1 a special attacker if you need to. If you either can't use Scarf because it's on somebody else, and you can't use your Orb because it's on somebody else, or you can't outspeed them, or whatever other reason, There's definitely other cool things you can take advantage of with Gallade. But overall, straightforward. Shout out to you if you made it to the end. Leave a comment down below if you did. If you listened to the end of all my videos, I would appreciate it if you do leave comments. It helps with the algorithm and shit. Drop a like as well, and I'll be back for more coming up. Check out the Iron Valiant one coming out later if you're listening to this on the same day it's uploaded. Peace.